you. Okay, started. So we are today talking about the epicenter, and what I want to touch on first and foremost is just a quick review of our core programming. So our core programming, the Epicenter for Action Research, works with Monday.com to put high quality project management solutions into the hands of students, faculty, staff, and their outside partners. Monday.com is project management software. Its peers are something like Asana or Trello, Notion, if you're familiar with those. It's a couple of years old, and they're extremely enthusiastic partners in this process. And so what we do is, in order for people to use this kind of software in academia, the big problems are that it's expensive and that it's hard to transition onto the software. So we're able to offer free access to the fanciest features Monday.com has, and we're also able to help teams with transitioning over in the form of custom built templates and individualized onboarding. We now have 19 teams, 6 more are currently in testing. That spans 170 users, which includes faculty, staff, students, and outside partners. And we now serve centers not only at UCLA, but also at UC Riverside, and most recently at UC Berkeley. This is the current list of the members of the Alliance for Action Research. Obviously, I know that these slides go out, so you'll be able to review this in more detail at your leisure, but you can see that we tend to serve 3 groups of these. And so first is academic teams, that being academic institutions and centers, the most straightforward. We also serve outside partners. We define this as any external organization that wants to collaborate with academia. So this often looks like nonprofits, a 1B corporation that either center students in their work already or want to connect more to the academic world. And then finally, we serve student teams. These are 2 of our newest Alliance members brought to us through Bruin Entrepreneurs, through Startup Labs. They're both student-driven startups. And those are kind of the categories of the teams that we serve. So I just put up here a bunch of different ways that Monday.com can be used. And again, you can review this at your own time, but most importantly, if you're interested in using Monday or getting a demo of Monday, you can feel free to reach out to me directly. We can set up an individual conversation and talk through how it works, how it could be applicable for your own work. But the main point here is it does a lot, particularly in remote work and hybrid work, managing a team, delegating across space, contextualizing communication. It can cover a lot there. So what I want to talk about today is our program expansion. And this is where we are moving in the future. When we talk about project management, I mentioned this is project management software. When you think about that in the professional world, it tends to function more in terms of, managing, developing a new software. When I speak about this in the academic world, I would say that projects tend to fall into ongoing operations. This is to say a 5-year research study takes 5 years, but in the midst of it, you still have to manage the social media. You still have to get the grant deliverables in on time, report at the right points. And so the ongoing operations have a lot to track. And so we've introduced a new definition of a project manager being a student project manager that supports a team through ongoing operations, including cyclical or one-time projects, by building quality infrastructure and maintaining it on a regular basis. Now, that definition may seem very familiar to any of you that manage undergraduate students, GSRs, or any variation. It tends to be part of the job description of student researchers, assistants, interns, but we haven't really talked about it, highlighted it as a skill with its own merits and potential applications. So we've found that, most centers, when they hire a student as a GSR, they're bringing someone in who is a grad student who comes prepackaged with skills in research. It's harder to teach students the skills needed to be hands-on at research. It takes more time. But the skills to be a project manager, to manage the process regardless of the subject matter, can be taught in a shorter period of time, especially if you have a project management software to support that process. And that's where the student project manager certification comes in. So the student project manager certification is an 18-hour program. It spans 3 weeks that we offer at no cost. Students who complete it gain official product mastery. This is signed off on by the Epicenter and by Monday.com, the company itself. They learn about project management, they get hands-on experience, and get a certificate that they can take with them into their careers and for their resumes. It's available to students at any level of study, any concentration, regardless, because we've found that the contents can be beneficial to a student at any point in their career. And we've seen that giving students the opportunity to learn this information can lead to benefits far further than we initially expect. And I'll come back to that a little bit more shortly. I just want to touch on, before I get more into the certification, 2 other upcoming programming that we have, upcoming programs, that is. We are looking in the fall to bring on a cohort of student project managers to the epicenter itself. Because we work with non-academic allies that don't typically have the opportunity to work with students, it gives those allies, those nonprofits, external partners, the opportunity to benefit from student talent. And it gives students the opportunity to connect to words and spaces they would not usually have access to by going through that brief certification process and being passed on to those centers as a certified project manager ready to help with their processes. In addition, this summer, on a slightly different note, but it is relevant, we're extending Monday.com access to students completing summer fieldwork programs in pursuit of their MPH from fielding very specifically. And this is because our wonderful GSR, Regina, is completing her own fieldwork and had the idea to extend that access to any student going through that process so that best practices can be shared and we can learn more about how to best use this software for academic use. So right now, we are currently undergoing the first pilot of this program. Here is our initial cohort, our founding class of students. Just to break down this group, we have 26 students participating. 10 are undergraduate students, 16 are graduate students. 24 attend UCLA, the vast majority. We do have 1 student from WashU St. Louis and 1 from Northwestern Medical School who came in because they're working for one of the centers that we affiliate with. 11 of those students are currently employed by Epicenter allies. First and foremost, HCI, which we're very grateful to. Thank you, Katie and Megan, for supporting in this. The Luskin Center for Innovation, the Center for Healthy Climate Solutions, and then the Medical Organization for Latino Advancement, which is an external partner and nonprofit that we support. And so those who are currently employed by Epicenter allies will be taking these skills directly back to those centers that already use Monday for their operations and bringing those skills with them. And then the other 15 all currently attend fielding and plan to complete their summer field work with the epicenter. So across the board, these students are not only getting the certification, but plan to take these skills and immediately apply them in the coming months to deepen their understanding and to support the team that they're working with. So far, in our pre-course survey, most students rated themselves very low on their use of money.com, their familiarity with it. Most rated themselves middling to average on project management. Particularly, they completed the survey after our first lecture, in which I really emphasized, you may already be a project manager. Do you keep things organized? Do you make sure processes run smoothly? Are you, if you're a student researcher, you may also find that you have these skills already. And then finally, we did ask if before this course, students were familiar with money.com or anything else, and in what context. Most said no, that they did not have any familiarity with this or any other software. About the other half, 11 of them, had some familiarity. 2 understood Monday itself. Others had found one of these, this long list that I've mentioned, but primarily had used it for personal use, tracking their own academics. Maybe 1 or 2 had used it in the workplace, but primarily they had not. So we're already extending the familiarity of these softwares that are really common in a lot of the world. This is just a little bit of the student feedback that we had in our pre-course survey. I think the big highlights from this, and again, you can review this, of course, but ones that I found really interesting were those very grateful this is free, that this makes this concept of project management accessible to students that can assist in so many parts of your career. Many said it was going to help them feature in their career, and some even in their careers as future public health professionals, obviously with a group of fielding students. And then more concretely, we asked after this program what areas students wanted to apply what they had learned in this course to before they've gotten into subject matter. And a lot of them said future career use, about 45%. You were able to select multiple options in this survey. So a good amount also said use at current employment. Some said future educational use, some for personal use, but most people selected multiple of these options and no one selected the option none. So we can see immediately that students at the very least feel that this is going to be applicable in their careers and future use. Now, I just want to come back to that sentence from earlier that when we give students the opportunity to learn this information, access this material, there can be big benefits beyond what we expect. So for example, I mentioned we have undergrads who already work for centers or MPH students who are going to do their fieldwork with us where we know the outcome. We also brought in a second year MPH student, so she's about to graduate, and with no expectation of her doing anything other than benefiting from the course. And because she's about to graduate, she actually, after the first week, said, I would love to hand over my project at UCLA Health using Monday because I have to turn it over to these first years. I want to make sure they understand what they're getting. And here we had this reveal of Monday's potential as a turnover tool, which is obviously really important in the academic world. And again, that's a benefit coming out of something that we didn't plan for. Just giving students these opportunities reveals those. Our key expansion goal for us is to encourage the centers we're affiliated with to create positions for student project managers, firstly to train the GSRs, USRs, whatever they have in these programs, but then also to create space for more of these positions, particularly work study positions as much as it's possible, as we know that's an opportunity of untapped funding, particularly in the past year of being remote, and that there's the benefit of giving students more options under work study to increase their availability and their skill level while completing their positions. We also hope that the project manager positions we initiate at the epicenter itself are connected into work study funding for the exact same reasons. So looking forward, we are looking to expand the certification and increase its offerings, offer it more often. We are looking to hire that first cohort of student project managers hired by the epicenter itself. And we want to continue to expand the alliance to offer our free services to more teams. And what I'll end on is just a very quick plug. We are always looking for more centers, organizations that might benefit from our services. We've found that the best connections come from people's personal networks. So if this is resonating for your team, or if you can think of a colleague who may be interested in getting this free access and support with using this project management software, please feel free to contact me or check out our website. I can put my email in the chat after I finish up here as well. But we'd love to hear from you, especially connecting into your network of who may benefit from these offerings as we expand over the next year. And that's all I have.
Thanks, Jessica. Great summary.